everybody. Welcome back to another great episode of Hospitality MD. Today, it is with great pleasure that I introduce Charles Dozier with us through his passion for hospitality and unique approach to personal branding on LinkedIn. Charles has become what I would consider to be a staple in the hotel industry, specifically among the Hilton community. And I'm so glad we got to have you on with us today.
Wow,
Thank
thank you. Pleasure's all mine.
you. So, Charles, why don't you tell us a little bit about like how you even like there's so many things out there in the world. How did you end up in hospitality?
I kind of fell into it by accident. It was funny. I went to school at Clark Atlanta in Atlanta, Georgia, for business, and I took a job as a on-call server part time down at the Atlanta Hilton, and I just fell in love with it from there. I mean, the money was great, also, so that didn't hurt. So I stayed with it. And when I moved back to Baltimore, we were opening a new hotel in Baltimore. I had some connections within Hilton, and it gave me an opportunity to come in as a banquet captain, which is a supervisory role within banquets.
So, banquet captain to the Hilton Worldwide Global Brand Ambassador. How did that even happen?
A lot of hard work and a lot of luck. I got to say that. I was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. I've been with Hilton for 10 years, and I've always um, led with my heart. I've always put people first, and that's always, you know, put me in a great path. I started out in Baltimore Hilton as a banquet captain, and it's always been a stigma that you can never grow in the same department, kind of go to director because it's hard to manage the people who you kind of created sins with. So as I mentor the leaders of tomorrow, I let them know you can't have those sins, if you want to grow, because people are watching and they will never forget. So I knew where I wanted to go, so I knew what I had to do. So within Hilton in 6 years, I went from banquet captain to assistant banquet manager to assistant director of banquets, and then I took over the operation as director of banquets in Baltimore. Pretty much working with the same nucleus of people who I've gained their trust over 6 years, and they knew that I could take the department where it needs to go.
So that doesn't sound like luck to me then. Putting people first, leading from the heart, and knowing where you want to go, and making sure that your daily decisions and the actions that you take on a daily basis are in line with where you want to go. That doesn't sound anything like luck, Charles.
Well, I look at it as luck because I was very lucky to work with some great people. And I've been lucky to understand how to get the best out of those people. And that's what I teach now with MDPs coming out of college. They're learning a lot about the processes, but they're not learning as much about the people. So I'm trying to connect them, kind of my time machine of going back to what I would have done better, 10 years ago, of kind of teaching them the rights and wrongs, and pretty much it's about learning about the culture. As we branch them off into all these different communities, they're going to go into these hotels where this is people's home. This is their life. Where we put these Hilton brands is a community center, and we have to respect that as much. And when you respect people and where they come from, and you understand them, and you tap into what actually makes them great, it actually makes you great. Instead of you trying to go in and get them to buy into what you believe is best for their hotel, because in our industry, manager life shelf life is about 2 years before they move on to either bigger or better things, or before they move on to something else. The people that's in that hotel normally stays for 20, 30 years, 70% of them. So we're trying to teach them now to respect that. When you go into their home, try to learn from them, try to understand what they're going through, understand that they've been through 5 different managers in the last 10 years. So it's different processes that they went through. Don't go in looking and saying that they had bad attitudes or they're disengaged or they're not coachable. You got to kind of tap into understand what they've actually been through in their journey of why they're that way. Because people have come in and they've given them promises, but then they go on to their bigger and better jobs, and then they're still left with now the next person that's going to come in and change all the processes that they just got used to.
I think you bring up a really good point just about the culture of hotels, especially like departments like such as banquets, where if you're like a union banquet server, you're really chances are you're not leaving, and you've seen 5 or 10 managers come through in your tenure while you're there. Now, and I think kind of respecting that and understanding that is a you bring up a great point of that being a great way to establish trust with them. How do you then take that and then extract the best out of those people on a daily basis?
Um, the people, again, they've seen a lot, and they want to look into your eyes and see if your heart, if you're really teaching from your heart and you're trying to better them, or are you really just here to get what you want to get? And they're going to just watch you and they're going to see, and they'll let you know when you're bought into their circle. You can't force your way in. You have to earn their trust, and you'll know when you're in. And then you'll see that they'll move mountains for you once you realistically gain their trust. And then you gain family. It's really what it's all about for me. It's not a position. It's not a certain place that I want to go. I want to motivate, teach, and give as many people purpose as possible all over the world. That's really my goal.
How can you give me an example of like a time that you've had maybe a tough team or a tough team member specifically, and just tell me a story about how using those soft skills kind of and putting those into action, how that has resulted in kind of an actual quantifiable result on your team.
So, in my one of my jobs with Hilton, I work with the special events team, and what we do is we travel all around and we do the big events for most of our EC team members. So that's the top 13 people in Hilton, including Krista Seta. So when they have events, I'm usually on the events team to go in 3 days before they arrive to kind of now work with the team on change management on what's about to happen because nobody really understands. The GM's high strung. The All the managers are tense because the stigma out there is that nobody really survives after these meetings because as soon as you mess up something, people are gonna go. So my job is really to fly in, calm everybody down. Of course, I'm working with managers who aren't that happy that I'm there because don't come tell me how to manage my property. And then you have team members that you have to win over now in 2 days, which is not easy at all. But I've come to understand to just use the approach that I told you earlier is that I want to make the win theirs. I'm not going in to try to change and restructure things that they're doing to make it mine. I just want it to be their idea and help them understand how important this meeting and every meeting after this is. I speak everything from my heart. I just give them a story. You think about front desk. When I'm talking to a front desk agent, they're complaining to me about, oh, this person complained because we didn't put all the towels in their room that they asked for. She didn't have to blow up about that. So I just take them on the journey. I said, think about it. Okay, you're the last line of defense of things that she's probably went through from the time she missed her Uber going to the airport. Her flight got delayed. She didn't get the snacks she wanted on the plane. Took her hour to get off the plane. When she got off the plane, she got down to the Uber area, and the line was long. It took her 2 hours to get here. Cab driver got lost. And now she's here. You got to think about all of that. You're gonna get all that. It's not really about just the towels. It's about everything that culminated up until that point. And we need to understand how important we are. And this is me talking to the team member at the front desk. Our sales team, our marketing team, they're out right now telling people that we are the best, that you are the best. They're coming here. They chose us. They're coming. And when they get here, their expectation of us is this high because all over everywhere you look, we say that we are the best. So we need you to be the best. And we're counting on you. but you have to understand, that story. And I can use that story in a restaurant. I tell them, when they don't understand, when they miss the silverware or they miss the rolls or they miss refilling the drink, it's still all about the journey of somebody coming to you and understanding how important that meal is. You don't really know what this night means to somebody else that they can't get back. So everything that you do today is important because we may not have this chance again, and they may not have this chance again.
I think you touch on a great point, which is the guests. This may be their one opportunity to travel. This may be their one opportunity that they just graduated with their master's degree and now they're out to dinner at your restaurant. This is the only graduation dinner they're ever going to get. This is the only anniversary, 25th anniversary night away from home that they're ever going to get. And we have to really kind of nurture that and respect that, as far as how we operate on a daily basis. Um, Now, you mentioned I do want to go back this the meetings that you were mentioning. I think I kind of I think I'm a little confused on that. So if you're saying that if like Chris Nassetta and like the top dogs with Hilton are coming to your hotel, then you are going to be there 3 days earlier and get everybody prepared for that large arrival. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Um, how does that look though? Like from the time you get there to the time you leave, tell me about that transformation from the team members' perspective, from the manager's perspective, from kind of that so much anxiety when you get in to kind of Chris Nassetta and all those guys just leaving the hotel.
So there hasn't actually been a position like mine in the company, and they've seen the results of how and it may not be as many people as calm as me that can handle that situation and has those relationships with the senior leaders. But that's something that we're trying to develop because it helps the on-site team very well. The on-site team is working on this process probably a year before they even get there. I'm just now connecting 3 days before. I've sent emails, we've communicated, I've sent all the special needs, amenities, schedules, all their needs for AV. I'm coordinating all that. Then 2 days or 3 days before I'm flying in just to tie all those pieces together. And then I'm meeting with the EC team to kind of let's just finalize everything, make sure everybody's okay, and just helping them to understand that, I'm with them. And that kind of eases the tension of everybody because a lot of times they feel like, if corporate's coming in, you know, they're spying or they're doing. My job is to make them feel like we're all Hilton and I'm with you. If you fail, I fail. So let's not fail. But if we're prepared, it's no issues. And I've done it so many times, it's repetitious that I understand what the senior leaders need, and if it's there a minor mistake where everybody usually would go crazy, I can handle that, because I know how to get around that, whereas a lot of people wouldn't, and I know how to recover from that. So just that buffer, just to make sure that people focus on the task at hand. We still need to understand that we do have other guests in the hotel. We want to make sure that we're still honoring that commitment, and I'll help you make sure this is a success, and then I'm flying out of here, and then I got family here, and if you ever need anything, I'm there.
Very, very, very interesting, Charles. Let's go back all the way to the beginning. Tell me about the first memory that you have of hospitality really touching you, or first time that like hospitality, like you ever felt what that was.
So I've been with Hilton for 10 years. I've never actually like felt it until like 2 years ago. I mean, I knew I loved it. I knew I loved people, but I didn't really understand what it was until I actually fell in love with what Hilton was all about and understanding that we're connected more than just rooms and people that visit our hotels, but it's about the community. It's really about world peace. It's about diversity. Once I connected all those dots, it was in 2017 in Dallas. I want to say October 17th, 2017 at about 8:35 p.m. It was actually, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. It was actually the first time that I had the opportunity to work directly with Chris Desetter. When I first joined the company, was in 2010. Chris Nassetta joined the company in 2008, 2009, and I was a part of the culture shift when we were aligning the company as a globe, when we were bringing our values to the forefront. And for the first 8 years, I heard what our values were, and I believed it. I believed we were doing some good things. And then I got to work alongside Chris instead of spend the day with him and really learn, where his heart really was. It was about 8:35 p.m. I was walking him back to his hotel room, and we came to an elevator bank where we had about 100 guests mixed in with some owners and some team members that were waiting on the elevators to go upstairs. And they turned, we were about 20 feet away. They turned and they noticed that we were coming. And of course, they know Christmas Center, so they're like, "Oh, he's coming." So everybody started to stop to hold the elevator so that he can go up because he's our CEO. Um, but he took the time at that time to hold the elevator for every single person in that bank to make sure that every single person got on the elevator before he got on. And it took my breath away. Like that is what I know they teach us to do, but you don't know if people really live what they say. It could be a whole marketing scheme that, do this, and we're rah rah rah. But to actually see him do that, and I just met him. I'm an assistant banquet director from DC at the time, and it's like, okay, I'm nobody. He don't really need to show off for me, but it wasn't really a show off. And as he got on the elevator doors went to shut. He put his hand in the elevator, he came back out, and he gave me a hug. And he said, "Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for all that you're going to do for this company." And like, this is the CEO. Like, I'm going crazy. I'm like, what just happened? And if you go back through any of my social media threads or of who I am, if you go back to that date and you look forward, you'll see where it changed in me. Because I learned that day that a person can touch you and change the way you see things and change your purpose just from doing the right thing. And that's really been my mission from that day. Is because now that I have that connection with him, a lot of people are inspired by what I do. So I feel like now I can give that off to so many other people of what he did for me.
Man, that was touching, to be honest with you, Charles. And it, I truly believe that, because that's something that no matter what the company is, Hilton, Marriott, any hotel management company that franchises properties, we all have our mission statement, we all have our values, what we believe in as a company and the culture. But you know, when you're managing 20-year tenured union banquet servers and setup people as an assistant banquet manager, assistant banquet director, and you're in that day-to-day whirlwind. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, where do those values actually apply on a daily basis to what we're actually doing?
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't until like a big breakthrough moment that you could feel that. Now, after having felt that moment, how can hotel managers, how can your department heads and your department managers actually translate those values to the team on a daily basis without actually having every single person get a big hug from Chris Nassetta and saying thank you for all that you're doing for this company?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, and I said, I've been with the company for 10 years, and that's really what took me to the next level is that I needed that. I spent the last 10 months based in Orlando. Um, the HR team from corporate office called me down. They needed some change management. We had our team member surveys last year were pretty bad at that hotel, which is usually a top running hotel. It's on Destination Parkway in Orlando. They won 4 Connie Awards since being open in 2010. But they took kind of a dip, and it was pretty bad. So the owner, as well as the GM, they reached out to corporate. They needed some support. We needed to go in and we needed help. So I based there to just learn how can this happen. And it was crazy how just me inserting myself into that property and making them feel a part of everything that's happening in Hilton change Everybody, even the general manager, has changed the way that he managed just from seeing me show up every single day and just inspired every day. So no matter what level you're on, and I know you spoke of managers inspiring team, we need to find ways to inspire our managers. We need to find ways to inspire our general managers. We need to find ways to inspire our CEO. I think everybody needs that. That's what I took from that hotel is that everybody, no matter what level you were on, everybody needed to feel it because our job is to give it, but everybody just wants to feel
How do you feel it then?
it.
Like, I mean, I know it's kind of like, that's like asking somebody, it's so intangible almost. Like inspiration is not really like something that you can hold on to in a tangible way, or it's just, a mindset. But, you know, obviously at one point that GM was inspired and was winning Connie Awards, and, and at one point something happened and then it took a dip, like you had mentioned. How do you stay inspired, and how do you get inspired to begin with? Like, hotels are so demanding. We deal with so much on the property level, um, as obviously you're aware of having done it for so long. So what's your diagnosis?
Um, I'm blessed to have this opportunity, and I try to help everybody understand how blessed we are. I mean, we're paid to pretty much host people. It's like bringing people to your house, and we get paid, some of us, a lot of money to do that. And I look at, I'm from DC, I can walk downtown DC and see where people aren't so fortunate to have a lot of the things that I have. And that's how I humble myself. I humble myself. I understand that it could be a lot worse, and I help others to understand that. Like we are blessed, and you look at what happened in 2001. Unfortunate, but when something like that happens, the hospitality industry, pretty much takes a dive automatically. And a lot of people that's been with our company a long time felt that, and they know what that feels like when all of this can be taken away from us overnight. And I try to inspire people to understand tomorrow's not promised. Let's make sure today we do everything that we can. Let's have fun. Let's have integrity in everything we do. And let's put our hearts in everything we do. And our guests will come back. No matter anything that we broadcast out on the internet, if we do those three things every single day, our guests will come back. Period. Because nobody will be able to match that.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Charles. That sounds really, really nice and everything, but
Mhm.
you're showing up to Hilton Orlando, 1,500 rooms or whatever, 130,000 square feet of meeting space, whatever the specs are, big hotel.
300,000.
Wow, like, crazy, right? Even more so, even more so. And how many team members?
About 1,500.
1,500 team members. You got all this hierarchy, complex relationship with everything. And, yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, we're really blessed. This is great. Tomorrow's not promised. But how do you actually drive results on that scale with that philosophy in mind? Like, how does that actually translate to results? Because I know
Because,
you've seen it.
sorry,
No,
because what I've seen that most people they understand their craft and they respect their craft and they're very good at what they do. From the way that I manage, I've understood that people just want purpose, and that's just my perspective on it. It's not about money. It's not. You work with some banquet servers or captains, they make more money than the general manager. So it's not really about money. Then what is it? Why, if in that market in Orlando where um, cost of living is a lot lower than DC, but they're making just as much money, why are their team member surveys so low? And if you go through the rep sheet and you actually look at it, they just don't feel cared for, valued, and respected. They feel like the managers are walking past them in the hallways and don't speak to them unless they need something. They feel like they only do something for them when the team member survey is coming, and they're very smart. They understand that. They just want to feel like they're a part of it all. They want to feel like it's a family. They want to feel like this is home, and they want us to make them feel like this is home. When they come to work, it should be a getaway. We should, if we expect them to give our hospitality, then we have to be willing to give it. The thing that I'm working on now is I got to find a way to make sure that we can give it to the hierarchy, because it's harder for them to give it from, and it's just my observation, because they're not getting it. And now with social media being in the whole fold, now people can see people getting it more. So I think social media is changing the way people want recognition, because they see it. They see Kristen Seta flying here and giving this, and they see Danny Hughes here. And, what about me? It's social media's kind of making things, you can't really hide the sins, anymore, because everybody can see everything. And it's like, okay, why are they getting this and why are they getting that? And um, I think our general managers are getting a little bit disengaged, because they want that same feeling.
Right, and I think like you touched on something that I think is very important is like, you know, as a manager, I think at any level of management, once you've kind of graduated to that point where you not only have to focus on the guest, just like every other line level associate, but now you have to focus on the team and balance
Hmm.
stuff. Like being a manager, especially in hotels, is extremely, extremely difficult to do.
Yes.
And then not to mention when you're a general manager, when it's like, okay, now you have 1,500 team members that you are ultimately responsible for their overall general happiness and contentment with their work life, which is ultimately going to translate to their entire well-being as an individual. That's a lot of pressure, and and sometimes it's like we think that one person or two people can bear that weight on their shoulders because they're the GM or they're whatever. But I think your observation is proving that maybe that can't be sustained in the long term. That cannot hold itself up, or else we'll see what happened at Orlando with that property after going from Fort County, where you just crack it at some point. Do you think that hotel management companies, corporate offices, so on and so forth, at this point have an obligation to recognize the executive committee, the department heads, things like that for their contributions, or how do you see that playing?
I think we have to find a way for it to be authentic. I think in this business, um, if people are doing a great job and you appreciate them, I think they should be told. No matter what level you're on. I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to get our team to have that authentic relationship with our guests, or everything's phony. If everything has to be a checklist of, we need you to smile, and it's not authentic, then what are we doing? Why can't we all just make each other smile? Because that's the business that we're in. It's going to be tough days. That's the nature of the business. But at the end of the day, we sell happiness. That's the business we're in. If you go to Disney World, that's what they sell. You're not going to spend that money to go there, and they can't afford to have an off day. And that's how we got to think about our business. Just like Disney, people come from all over the world to come there, and you're going to get that experience. And that's what we should be, from the top all the way down to the dishwasher. Doesn't matter. Everybody needs to be happy, and we need to find those champions to help us make that happen.
I think you've done a good job, even yourself, with recognizing the people. Um, I've seen your LinkedIn. Actually, Greg and I were just looking like when did you and I and he and you become connected on LinkedIn? It's actually the same date for both myself and Greg, who got connected with you on September 6th, 2018. And since then, you've been a big part of our daily consumption on LinkedIn with content. And it's we've seen a lot of what you've done, which I think increasingly has included really just recognizing team members around the country, around the world, and recognizing managers as well. Because, you mentioned like when you show up, people are like, oh shit, corporate's here. So you have that obligation now, and I think you've really kind of, and kind of gone into that role with that service oriented leadership in mind. Um, do you think that LinkedIn has helped you get to where you are career wise, or do you think that LinkedIn has just broadcasted what you would have been doing anyway?
So I think LinkedIn has broadcasted what I would have been doing anyway. It it's helped me in a way because most of the team members that I work with are connected with me on all social media. Um, it's important for me to reflect the same person at work and at home, so I'm the same person because I understand that people can look at LinkedIn and say, okay, is this really who this guy is? Or, is it just for likes or is it just for connections? Because when I show up to a property, 90% of the property know who I am. Even team members in the dish room, they know who I am. And it's amazing, since the last 2 years since I've been doing it, of how they embrace me when I come in. My job was a lot harder at what I do before LinkedIn and before social media because nobody really knew who I was. Now when I come into hotels, people are like, okay, this is Charles. He's here to help. He's a guy of the people. I know he's not here to get anybody in trouble. We know who he is. We know he's gonna be in the dish room. We know he's here to recognize. We know he's not here to bash anybody. So it's really helped me. And it's helped me, connect with people, from Beijing to Dubai who just will, send me a message and say, hey, I'm going through this. Can you give me a suggestion on how I can do that? It's not about likes, and that's what I try to explain to people because again, that question you just asked me, it's a lot of people that believe my success is because of LinkedIn. So now it's a lot of people that's doing it, but their heart's not in the right place. So their content comes off wrong. It comes off more of bragging or, it's not sending the right message. And that's what I want to make sure people don't do. If you get one like, who cares? That's not what it's about. It's about touching the right person at the right moment that really needed that message that you sent out. And that's what I want people to understand. I don't want them to think it's about likes, because people come, hey man, I sent out this content and I only got 24 likes on it, but I seen this guy get like, that's not for me. That's not what it's about. So you talk to the wrong person.
Right. Like if that's where your head is at, then it's already like, diagnose that first and then start doing your content from there. And I think the importance of personal branding, because now you branded yourself as an individual, even kind of taking Hilton out of the picture.
Yeah.
Charles Dozier is hospitality. You're living that on a daily basis. So when you do go to the hotels, people say, "Oh, it's Mr. Hotels, it's Mr.
Yeah.
Hospitality." The and people are automatically, their expectation for you is that you're going to be a genuine individual.
And I got to show up though, because everybody knows that I'm creative. So the expectation is that I have to be on it. And I love that challenge. People now people want to challenge me. It's like, okay, I've seen you do this. Let's go. And then I show them, and it feels good because now I'm able to train that way where it's not me bragging, but people actually want to see me and I can teach through me showing different techniques because my craft is food and beverage and I've actually gotten even better at it. And I'm able to teach people that can kind of let their guard down and actually learn versus thinking it's me here trying to take your job or me here spying on you. But, I'm actually building great relationships because that guard isn't there anymore. That was there before. We can actually go have a beer, we can talk, and we can kind of draw out some diagrams, and we can actually pull this event off the way it's supposed to go without all the no, I want to do it like this or I want to do it like that. They actually respect, my input, and I respect theirs. It goes both ways. It's not me coming in because I learn every day. That's the great thing about it is that I'm able to still learn and make people feel really good about it. It's not I'm coming in to show you that you don't know anything, but I take a little bit of piece of you and a little piece of you, and it just makes me even better.
What part of your job scares you, or what intimidates you on a daily basis? Like, we see that you obviously what you're doing. You're strong. You drive all to your hotels, but um, it's a lot. What about it kind of has you feeling a little intimidated, a little scared, or what's something that you really have to find yourself working on a daily basis?
So, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. I have a great relationship with the the most powerful man in our company, and you're not gonna have 100% fans when that's the case. You know, you're gonna have a lot of people that's like, okay, who is this guy? And even if they smile in your face and they say everything is great, you know, you got to work that much harder to manage up. You know, even when I was based in Orlando, I still have to understand I'm here to help, so that means I got to manage to the general manager that much harder to let him know that I respect you, you know. And when I'm in a corporate office, it's the same thing of like just managing up all day long to make people understand that I don't feel as though I'm bigger than you because of who I know, but I understand how people's mentality is. I can see it in their eyes. So I gotta manage to that to make them understand I'm just a known person here to help. Not so much on the team member level or the management lower level, but once you get up into EC level, it changes. The dynamic changes a little bit because again, nobody understands who I am or where I came from or what this is and how you kicking it with the C. Like nobody understands that. So it can become a challenge, but I manage it very well. But it is a daily. I have to manage it every day.
Well, and not to mention on top of that, it's a position that was basically just created for you,
Yes.
essentially. So it's not like they're like, oh, well, this is just the brand ambassador. He's been there since that position's been around forever. Like he's 6 months old, or what? How long you've been doing it for? Um,
But it can also be taken away from you that easy. You know, it's a big responsibility in having that title because again, you don't. It's no wiggle rooms to mess up when you're working for the greatest company, hospitality company in the world. You know, one wrong sentence can change all that.
well, I guess in your position, you would certainly be under the microscope, probably more than most in the company because brand ambassador. That's like almost like a political role
Yeah,
to a certain
yeah.
extent. In addition to the operations aspect of it and the team member relationships. Um, Chris, I want to give you an opportunity here if you have any questions for Charles after we've kind of been through that here.
I guess, I mean, I've been following Charles on LinkedIn for a while as well. I don't have the exact date, but it's my intake for passion every day. It's the posting, and it's just the amount of support you give to the community. It just amazes me, and I'm curious: is that passion, is it natural for everyone, or are you able to instill that into people, or does they have to have it already? Passion for hospitality.
So I've noticed, and I get a lot of usually a lot of feedback once I leave a property, and I'm still getting like the residuals from Orlando right now, and they're like sending me stuff every day because now they've kind of adopted what I've given them. So I've noticed that once they've spent time with me and they see that it's real every day, like again, nobody knows anything. I can post anything until you see it. But when they see I'm up at 4 in the morning every day running, 7 miles, and some of them go with me, or I'm out on Sundays when I can be home with my family and I'm out playing basketball with the team, or we're going to the soup kitchen. Like when I show that, then they're like, okay, this is real. And they're sending me pictures and they're like, I'm doing this, I'm excited, and they really feel good. And I really just wanted to open their eyes up to how grateful I am. And a lot of people feel like maybe if I do what he's doing, I can follow in his footsteps.
Okay. So I know we touched base on this a little bit already, but for people who don't have Charles Dozier being able to come to our property and take care of that, how are we as managers able to do that ourselves? To just embody hospitality, embody the passion ourselves, and kind of lead with our foot forward, or
um it, I believe everybody has it in their heart. um I think a lot of us follow who our leaders are, and if our general managers or our hotel managers aren't bringing it every day, then we tend to adopt that from them because it's like, okay, if they're not bringing it or whoever their leader is isn't bringing it, then I'm not. And that's why I always say I'm one of 450,000 around the world. It takes all of our efforts are equal. My effort isn't no bigger than yours or yours, all of us have to understand how important we are to the overall scheme of what we want, and that's world peace. We have the opportunity to touch people every day that come in and out of our hotels that we don't know what mindset these people are in, that we make and change. We don't know if this was a person that was going to go out and hurt somebody, and just from a 5-minute conversation with you, you could have changed that all. And that's how I go into every day. Every day I go into it feeling that I may do something good for somebody that could change an outcome of something that could have been bad. And I believe that's the mindset as humans that we all should have. And that's why I love working for Hilton, because I feel as though their goals align with my passion and my heart.
Yeah, that's your personal beliefs, and I love it because that just shows you it's not just a hotel industry. That's as we like to say, hospitality is everybody's business. I mean, live your daily life that way.
So I guess my answer to it is I believe Hilton is as great as it is because of us. So we need to understand that we make Hilton great. So we have to show up every day to make Hilton great. Hilton's not going to make us great.
That's a great point. Wow.
Yeah, very well said. Charles, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with everybody before we end the interview?
No, I mean this was great. Again, I'm blessed, and I thank you guys for the opportunity to talk with me. I just, as you guys are leaders, I hope you adopt that philosophy of every day you go in and touch as many team members as you can and help them to understand how important they are, to world peace. It's bigger than bids, it's bigger than food and beverage for me. That's just something that gets guests to come to us. But I think we're blessed with the opportunity that when they come, we really have to make a difference, with hospitality. And we really need to turn their mind to really, really understand that, because a lot of people don't. They think we show up to serve chicken and beef, and that's just the fun of it. It's just like when you invite somebody to your home, you're going to give them a good meal, but at the end of the day, you brought them there to give them hospitality, and that's the mentality that we need to have. I love Hilton, and I'm going to help in every way that I can to make it continue to be the best company in the world.
Wow.
Charles, thank you so much. Guys, you've been watching Hospitality MD with myself, Chris, and Greg. And today we had Charles Dozier, the Hilton Worldwide Brand Ambassador, with us. Please be sure to subscribe on all of our channels and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again, Charles.